Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Sol at the Movies. I just got back from seeing The Incredibles 2 by Pixar Animation Studios. And here are my thoughts on it. So Incredibles 2 picks up right after the end of the first Incredibles movie, where the Underminer is attacking the city. And because the Underminer attacks the city and does loads of damage, the legalization of supers is called into question. Or, well, they're not really legal to begin with, but people, all they see is the collateral damage and not the actual superheroing. So a couple of people from a place called DevTech call to have Elastigirl come out and show them what supers can really do to try and get supers to be re-legalized, not illegalized. And while that's all going on, Mr. Incredible is at home, just taking care of his family. That's about that. So I really like the Elastigirl side of it, but not the Mr. Incredible side of it. Now, I'm going to go into this a little bit more later, but I just want to preface everything I say right now by saying that if you're the kind of person who can't take negative comments towards something that you like in a just sort of loose kind of way, as in if you take critical statements about something you like as a front on your person or your personality or anything like that, you probably aren't going to want to watch the rest of this video, okay? Because I don't have all nice things to say about this movie. I don't think it's the most perfect thing that's ever happened. I've seen the way people have gone off on videos like Your Movie Sucks video, how they just can't seem to understand that his non-enjoyment of the movie is his right to not enjoy the movie, even though he did say he likes the movie, sort of, kind of. Whatever, that's off topic, but I'm just saying is that if you can't take criticism of something you like, then go away, because you're not gonna like the rest of this video anyway. Anyway, the characters. So, I always thought the characters were the best part of the original Incredibles movie. Funnily enough, despite it being an action movie, I always thought character was the strongest part. In this movie, it's not so much. So you got Elastigirl, aka Helen Parr, who she's just the same as the first movie. She's, you know, like, she wants to be independent and a strong superhero and everything like that, but she cares about her family. She's cool. She's probably the best part of this movie, character-wise. And then there's Mr. Incredible, who is strange in this one. In the first movie, he's like, yeah, a little bit arrogant, and he thinks he's like the best superhero and everything like that, but he never really said it out loud, necessarily. He wasn't really, like, he wasn't insistent upon being the best superhero. He just wanted to be a superhero again because he was living a boring life that he hated. But in this one, he just seems off. Like, he seems like he's really genuinely jealous of his wife for getting to superhero again, even though he was just superheroing the morning before this all happened. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I'd have to see it again, but I just don't understand his character in this one. And then, of course, he's doing the whole Mr. Mom thing, which, yeah, we'll get to that. And then there's Dash Parr, and then also Violet Parr, who I never thought they were the best part of the original movie either, but they were tolerable, at least. I mean, they were kind of funny, too. In this one, they're pretty annoying, I have to say, especially Violet. She's really annoying in this movie, with her boy troubles and everything like that. Again, we're gonna get into that, so, and then of course there's Jack, who was the subject of all of the advertising and everywhere, and he takes up like half the movie with his baby stuff. We're gonna get to that, so. And then there's the villain, who, I made a prediction on Twitter that it was going to be Gazerbeam from the first movie. Now, without wishing to spoil whether or not I was right, let's just say that my idea was better for a villain. If it had been Gazerbeam, I guess I just spoiled it. It's not Gazerbeam, but if it had been Gazerbeam, I think that would have been better than the one that they chose, to be honest, because, I would say if you've ever seen a movie in your entire life, it's pretty obvious who the villain is. I'm not saying I'm better at it, I'm just saying my idea was better. But anyway, that's beside the point. So the villain, the ultimate villain is not very interesting, but the idea of the actual villain who uses hypnosis of flashing lights to control people's cool, and I am very grateful for looking at Twitter and having them warn about the photosensitive flashing lights, stuff like that, because even though I'm not epileptic, I am really sensitive to flashing lights. I've had a seizure before playing the Devil May Cry reboot, so I'm just really bad looking at photosensitive lights, and if I hadn't known, something bad might have happened, so I knew to sort of just just kind of look down when those scenes were happening. Those were cool. So it's, yeah, the villain is cool, but ultimately the villain is not cool. So what's good about this movie? Well, the action is fan-fucking-tastic. Just, it's nice to see that Pixar's animation has improved in such a way that they can make these amazingly crafted, just second by second, frame by frame, well, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's just incredible. Really, the best one is definitely the second scene where Elastigirl goes to find the villain, whose name is escaping me for some reason. I just saw the movie and I can't remember what it is. I want to call him Screen Share, but I know that that's not right. So, just whatever. Screen Share, the villain, when she's going after him, that's probably the best scene in the entire movie, but the action is superb. Of course, the climax is incredible, and everything about the movie, action-wise, is super good. I mean, it's a little bit intangible at times, but it's still really enjoyable. It's very pulse-pounding, kind of. The score, of course, is amazing by Michael Giacchino. It's great. It's, like, presentation-wise, the movie is great. I have no problems with it. What I have a problem with, though, ultimately, is just the story and characters. Now, if you're gonna say that those things are nitpicks, then I don't know what to tell you, okay? But the story with Elastigirl is great. I think it's really good, even though, yeah, it's a little bit of a retread of the original. They do enough to keep it interesting, I would say. Every scene with Elastigirl after she splits off from the family is really good. I was enjoying it quite a lot with Screen Share. Sorry, I can't remember the name at the moment. All of those scenes are good. The biggest problem I have, though, is this movie's B-plot. It's so fucking boring. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, mostly because a lot of the movie's audience are like families and parents and stuff like that. And it's like, taking care of a baby's hard, isn't it? Especially one with superpowers. But it's boring. It's boring to take care of a baby. And just because it's a dude taking care of it doesn't make it any less insufferable. They're doing the whole Mr. Mom angle like, Dad's trying to make it. I mean, at least he isn't bad at being a parent. Like, you know, it's like, haha, he's good at cooking. Like, he can make waffles and stuff like that. It's not traditionally annoying, but it's annoying nonetheless. And of course, you got Jack, he's not as deadly Dennis diseased as he could be, but he's up there, for sure. I mean, they got the whole boss baby thing going on with babies loving cookies and crying and pooping. There isn't too many of the traditional jokes, but it's not traditionally annoying, but it's annoying nonetheless, and it takes up far too much of the movie for me. Every time the movie starts getting going, it's just like, yeah, alright, sweet, action, Elastigirl, sweet! It's like, nope, we gotta stop in our tracks and do baby shit for the next 15 minutes or so. It's tiring, okay? And look, if you like that kind of stuff, good for you, okay? I'm not here to take that away from you. I'm saying I didn't like it. I hate baby stuff. I hate girls who have boy troubles. I hate when Dash is completely not important to the story at all. I just hate that stuff, okay, and it bothers me, and I don't like that it takes up a significant chunk of this movie, because the parts that aren't that are really good, I would say, except for the villain, but, so when they focus so much of their attention on that, it's tiring and boring. So when half the movie is tiring and boring, and the other half is like, oh, fuck yeah, pulse pounding, it just gets kind of exhausting. I do think the runtime's a bit long, too, considering the plot is... It's very simplistic overall. I would say even more simplistic than the original. In fact, I don't know if it's fair to compare this movie to the original. I mean, it is a sequel and it does take place right after it, but I think the standards were too high anyway. Like, Incredibles is one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time, and I just don't know if anything could live up to that. And does it? Well, not really. Not even close, really. Because the original Incredibles was so expertly paced. I didn't feel like a single second of the movie was wasted. This movie, I feel like half of it is wasted on stupid bullshit that's not important. I personally didn't find the movie very funny, either. I was sitting in an audience that were guffawing like idiots the whole time, and I'm just like... I don't know. Maybe it's when I'm sitting in an audience, I just feel this, like, compulsion to not laugh. But none of it was funny. None of the Jack stuff was funny. There was, like, one line I laughed at, and I can't even remember what it is. Something about... Oh, it was, like the batteries and eggs line, where Mr. Incredible's like, we need AA batteries, but all we got is triple. That was funny. But everything else, oh, I don't know, like... Okay, look. before anyone else gets any more pissed than they already are, do I like this movie? Kinda. I mean, like, if they could just remove all of the stupid Jack and family stuff, I think it would be really good. Now you might say that's not fair, because that would be taking away, like, half of the movie, and yeah. So, do I like it? If you have to take away half the movie to make me like it, I would have to say, not really then. I mean, it's got some parts that are so astoundingly good. The action is just, like, so good. Like, it's so good you can almost taste it. The score is so good. The animation is so good. But it's lacking so hard in the character and story elements that it just feels bloated and underwhelming. Too long, and it's not unfocused, but it's focused too much on the wrong thing. Like, when Elastigirl is just fighting the villain, that's great. It's entertaining to watch. Well, when I can watch it, when there aren't flashing lights going on. But all the other stuff, I think I've made my point at this point. It's just, half the movie is tedious and unbearable almost, but the other half of the movie is, you can't look away from it, good. So, I would say that this movie, ultimately, I would recommend it, because most people don't seem to dislike the things that I dislike about this movie, so if you don't care about anything I've said, knock yourself out, okay? You'll probably enjoy this movie. In fact, I encourage you to see this movie, because I'm sure you will like it. It just doesn't appeal to me. So, except for the action and stuff like that. So, would I recommend it for me? No. Would I recommend it for you? Yeah, totally. Especially if you like the first Incredibles. I'm sure it'll all tickle your nostalgia buns. Because everyone wants their nostalgia buns tickled right now. Really bad. So, if you're just there for a good old fingering in the nostalgic asshole, I'm sure you'll get it. Maybe a little bit too much. But for me, that only goes so far. And there's just so much about this movie that's tedious that I probably will never see it again. And that's all I have to say about that.